Hi, this is Mark Olsey with Pledge Talk. So, in a recent video communication tip, my wife and I worked through a conflict, and she started off by saying, "Did I cause you to feel disrespected a little while ago? Because I feel like you shut down or something changed between us, and I'm wondering if that's what it was." Several people responded to that communication tip as a really cool way that my wife could start off the conversation. Well, I want to tell you a little bit of background about that. A number of years ago, my wife and I were introduced to a man by the name of Emerson Eggridge. We so appreciated everything he taught that we started teaching his material as well. It's on marriage. From him, we learned a very helpful way to start off a conflict conversation, which is what my wife did for me in the video we shared. We learned that either one of us could start off the conversation in a similar way. My wife could say, "Did I just do or say something that made you feel disrespected?" Or I could say to my wife, "Did I just do or say something, honey, that made you feel unloved?" You see, every one of us longs in the deepest parts of our being to be loved and respected. The longing for those motivates most everything we do in life. Add to that is this idea. Though we all long to experience both love and respect, men typically are more aware of the longing to be respected, and women typically tend to be more aware of the longing to feel loved. In my work with couples, I would say this is probably true, maybe 70 to 80% of the time, And when it's not true, for instance, if a woman tends to be more aware of her longing to be respected rather than loved, it's usually because in or throughout her life, she was treated very disrespectfully, horribly, as a woman or even as a human. This often leaves her with not only the desire to be loved, but the greater awareness of a desire to be respected as a woman. So with this understanding in mind, it gives some foundation as to why often a husband or a wife or a man or a woman in life feels hurt or angry. They have been spoken to in such a way or treated in such a way where they have felt unloved or disrespected. And so, when my wife notices me disconnecting in some way or pulling back, she immediately begins to think to herself, have I disrespected him in some way? And the same is true for me. If I notice my wife reacting or shrinking back, it's a signal to me that I might have done or said something that made her feel unloved. And I can ask her if that is true. Another way we could say it or start the conversation is, again, by using some of our story language. I could say, "Honey, I have a story in my head that perhaps I did or said something in such a way that made you feel unloved." And vice versa. She could say the same kind of a thing to me about being or feeling disrespected. Now, if you start off a conversation with your wife or husband in the way I've suggested, be prepared for what you will do next if they say, "Yes, I did feel unloved," or "Yes, I did feel disrespected when you said or did that." I would suggest you then remember everything we've talked about and learned when it comes to Pledge Talk. Pause so you don't react defensively or give a quick apology to just get on with matters. Now, if you recognize what you did and are sincerely sorry, an apology is helpful. But you might even do better than that by first inviting them to tell you more as you listen to really understand how you made them feel unloved or how you made them feel disrespected. Then when you hear them explain and echo back and you disarm the tension by validating them, your sincere apology will likely have a much greater healing effect on the relationship. One final thought. Though I share the above examples in context of marriage, You can apply them to all male and female relationships. When we relate to our sons, for instance, we can cause them to feel disrespected and start a conflict. We can do the same with our daughters if we cause them to feel unloved. Or we can be the source of a conflict with a coworker by speaking or acting towards them in a way where they don't feel loved or respected. And in virtually any setting, if we feel a disconnect, we can begin the conversation saying, "It seems to me like we have a bit of a disconnect or conflict here. Did I do or say something that made you feel disrespected or unloved or unkind or uncared for?" Watch the power of this kind of conversation. If you enter into it with sincerity, humility, and an openness to learn. Well, that's all for today. I'm Mark Olsey, author and creator of Pledge Talk. Write me a takeaway or a question below to help me know better how to help you. And doing so helps you learn because it keeps you thinking.